All right, welcome back to The Horror with Mike.
And Nate.
On this episode, the glare, we're going into killer theories. We already made our own. I'm stressing right now, we are not going to switch up what ours are, and we are not going to be taking any of you switching up what your theories are. Not that you would. You guys are relatable. However,
I'll stand by whatever I said.
he doesn't even remember what
I don't even remember what I said. This show
That's
changes
fucking funny.
from week to week so much.
Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to make a final killer theory.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember it was Piper and Audrey. Anyway, and you're like, fuck it could be them. But I wanted to specifically on this one, we're going to call out other people's fan theories, which there are some really interesting ones out there.
We got a lot of subscribers and people that listen to our weekly reviews and our killer theories on YouTube, and we pay attention. We pay attention to what you guys have to say.
Some of your fucking quotes make my ass think way too fucking much, and I have to research this shit and then get back to you. So it's good times. It's fun. I love it. This is a fan appreciation, and this is, again, what I hinted at another episode. This is coffee talk. This is where we're just gonna basically go over other people and why they could, why they couldn't. Just other stuff that's happened. Like I said, we're sticking by ours. We're still just overanalyzing the show.
Right.
And so I want to share what I know.
So we're going to look at a lot of the different characters, maybe every single character.
Yeah, maybe.
Most of them anyway. And break down why they might have done it.
Yeah. So just to point out real quick that, and I'll mention maybe some of these specifically as we go. It gets a little muddy in my brains right now. But the people who have, and there have been a lot of comments, a lot of people letting us know who the killer is. Thank you for all of that. Just wanted to call out people whose theories have made me think. There are many more, but only so many I can't spend half hour naming names. KSA Kenny-san, always good comments, always good theories. Andrew Rainher. I'm sorry if I butcher names, by the way. That's totally my fault. I do it to everybody. Hayden Ball.
We reviewed an entire season, 8 episodes of True Detective, and
I have no idea what
he couldn't remember Nick Pizzolatto's name for any of the 8 episodes. So don't take it personal.
I can do a lot of shit. Names, can't do them. That girl, that's the name. That girl, good stuff. Bobby Daniel has some really good stuff. Like I said, a lot of people do, but just name checking a few. And Caleb Game Guy. And specifically, just because this was the one that made me kind of think the most, and I'm really going to get into some of the stuff she brought up and made me think of and blah, blah, blah. Melanie Ann. Very good theories. I believe it's on our final killer theories. If you want to read not only her comments, but my comments back to her and our little conversation. We literally had to be like, I'm just going to stop because this could go on for fucking ever. Hundreds of lines back and forth. So look at those. But anyway, we're going to go over some of those. So thank you, Melanie. Very good stuff. Start at the top. Emma. Any thoughts on Emma?
I feel that she's the one person in the show that it can't be her.
Yeah, it's pretty much above suspicion as far as that whole theory of the person you least suspect. The only thing that would point to something that would be really shitty was that she was looking in episode 8. When they come up behind her, she closes her laptop. It was something like delusions of people chasing you and calling you and threatening you. And actually somebody did come up with this theory, and it was an interesting theory, but I don't want to call out too many movies who have used this plot where it's the main character ends up being the killer but didn't know that they were the killer. Yeah. Again, it would spoil too many good movies, but bad ones like Number 23. There are a lot of ones that have done that. It could be that, and I'm not hating on that if that's your theory, but I really kind of doubt it. But anyway,
they would have to bend over backwards and do a super sell job to convince me that was even remotely plausible.
Yeah. Okay, so Audrey. Audrey was a big one of mine, and it was only very reluctantly that I chose Branson. I really do think it's Piper, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
Piper, we think, is pretty much a definite lock. I stuck with Branson because he's my boy, and I really believe in the theory that I've stated that they're secret lovers because there needs to be drama and blah, 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 blah. I disregarded Audrey. You kept Audrey. It's because Audrey has a lot of shit that points to her.
A lot of little things.
Yeah, and we've gone over a lot of those, and I can go over it more if you'd like me to direct you to where we've talked about it more. A lot of stuff. Melanie Ann, again, brought up the point, Audrey is Brandon James's daughter because they said they found her DNA in the mask. Now, that was really smart because that was something I missed that is pivotal because you have to watch how writers word shit. They didn't find her fingerprints, they found her DNA. Now, of course, very easily that could be the killer found something and rubbed her fucking DNA on it. Or, in her theory, and one that kind of came up with, it's DNA, which means that it's only implicating a family member. She says it's Brandon James. I started thinking, which is a good point out, but it made me think about Howard. We saw Howard only once. That is my indication that it's not him because he's literally only been in the show one scene. But there are plenty of serial killer movies. Again, I don't know if I want to ruin them, but where you only see the killer in one scene.
It's always bullshit, though.
Yeah,
you know?
It is. Well, from the True Detective.
It's bullshit in a whodunit.
Oh no, it definitely is.
Yeah.
And those shows and movies were about more than the whodunit. This is a whodunit.
Yes.
That would be fucking stupid. But it does make sense that he's age range enough that he was around for those old school killings, which fits him in because it's only really been a certain group of people who fit into that timeline. All of Audrey's reasons for killing would now be his. He has motive for everybody. He could be Brandon James or somebody with a name change, but I doubt it. Just something to think about. Plus, Audrey uses his phone and calls Emma, and Emma thinks it's the killer, which doesn't mean anything because if you look at the phone, it doesn't show a number or anything, and it just says unknown number, but it could be a little like, ha-ha, huzzah. We move on to Noah, who there's a pretty big theory, and I would support it that Noah's the killer. That would make sense to me.
Right off the bat, Noah was the first guy that seemed like,
you were big into Noah all the way up to 5.
And now it's a good theory, if only because he seemed guilty for a while, but now he's exonerated, and the show apparently doesn't consider him a suspect.
Yeah.
So, you got all your suspicious stuff out of the way earlier, and now he can go to being a good guy, and it would be surprising if it was revealed to be him. Yeah. He does have the knowledge of history and the connections, and he's he's the character type of outsider weirdo where it just fits.
Yeah, exactly, and he's really, really smart. As we know, he's got the internship with Elon Musk fucking coming up and shit. He's very smart. He's very good at technology. That would be surprising. I don't think it's him. But it would be surprising. It would make sense. It would be a main character killer, which is awesome. And somebody, I believe it was me and Melanie. I'm sorry, Melanie. We talked a lot, as you remember, so I get fucked up with who I said what with. But it was like, if it was Noah, I would be happy because 1, Noah's awesome. 2, don't kill Noah and make Noah go to institution for the criminally insane and become season 2's Hannibal Lecter, where he helps them catch a new killer or stuff. So we would get awesome Noah stuff. Oh, somebody else pointed out your proclivity for monologues. And if we know anything about Scream, all Scream killers have a proclivity for monologues.
They do.
So that could be pretty funny. Anyway, so I would think it was really cool if Noah was the killer.
Yeah, the one thing that I feel pretty adamant about is that
I don't think he is, though.
Yeah. I'm not going to change my pick, but it definitely can't be Audrey and Noah. It could be one or the other.
Right, sure.
Only because they've discovered things while it was just those two together.
Yeah, it would be that whole thing you mentioned on the last 9 review.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people are alone, they act like cameras are on.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense, but
it could happen. So that brings us to, let's see, we're going to try and go through this pretty quick because we don't want to take forever on these. Sheriff, although it does look like he dies, we still don't know that he dies. Nope. And slashers are notorious. Scream 3, Scream 2, Scream 5. Well, actually, Scream 2 doesn't do it. Scream does it. A lot of slashers do it, that you think the killer dies in the climactic confrontation party scene type thing, and then comes back like, huzzah, I wasn't actually dead. That happens a lot, so it still could be Sheriff. Plus the fact that Sheriff, pretty convinced he's got to at least be Troy or Brandon.
He has to have some major connection to the story, although, as we discussed in the last individual review, check out a review of episode 9, which we bag on pretty hard, but it's entertaining. He gets attacked by the masked killer and knocked out. We see him later, and he's tied up and being tortured or attacked or something. Sure. But we don't actually see that. That's just...
Right, exactly.
Earlier, we see him get attacked by the masked killer who creeps up behind him and knocks him out.
Right.
This ostensibly puts him out of the suspect pool. It doesn't really. It just seems to put him out of the suspect pool. Right, exactly.
What we're saying is it still could be him.
It seems a lot less likely that the sheriff
think that it is, but if it's your theory, you could still possibly be right for these reasons, basically.
And I still think he's definitely involved somehow. He just may not be our killer.
I just really hope he doesn't die, because 1, I like the actor, and 2, there's still a lot that can be said for him. Which brings me to, maybe I'll skip. Oh, no, she was the next one on here anyway. Maggie. I would be a big fan of it being Maggie. One, I think it's just hilarious that a fucking housewife would be a fucking serial killer.
What do you mean housewife? She's the medical examiner for this town, which has a ton of murders.
Right, but I know I just meant that most serial killers in movies tend to be white males.
Yeah.
Get revealed.
Well,
again,
I mean,
why?
in art as in life. You know?
It's way down the list, but I wouldn't be mad if Lorraine Brock showed up just because a black fucking woman serial killer. I'd be like, you know what? You win. Even though that's a cheat, you win just for doing that.
And she don't need no man to kill teenagers.
She would whoop some ass.
She could do it on her own.
Awesome. She would whoop somebody's ass for past relationships.
But in any event, getting back to Maggie.
Maggie, yeah, she's a medical examiner, so that kind of makes sense. Something I forgot to point out in the review for last episode is the killer goes into the municipal records and knows the combination. The killer also I took screenshots. I'll put those up. They're on the other video link probably too. Follow us on Twitter.
At FrightFlix. Yeah. Same thing on Facebook.
Specifically check the hashtag FFFrightFlixScream. I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff there. We live tweet Tuesday night at 11:59 for this last episode, and we're going to do it for the final episode.
Yep. Hashtag FFScream.
So you should be, and maybe not as this video is posted, just timing wise, but it will be there. Screenshots of the paper that the killer looks at, and it specifically says, was Maggie helping Brandon James? So that's a good indicator that it's pointing to it. I don't think it's her, but they could pull anything. Me and Nate were talking about this. Mom, why did you send me all those calls then, or send the heart to yourself, or blah, blah. It's like, I didn't want them to implicate you, sweetheart.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that I targeted you on the phone so no one would think. But there is one scene. It was when Riley was getting killed, that she's in the car with her mom while she's talking to the killer on the phone. But as we all know, there's going to be multiple killers anyway, so whatever on that.
There damn well better be.
And what I think is cool as far as Sheriff Hudson's thing, again, I hope he doesn't die because I actually kind of like that character, that actor, is that Maggie would date the sheriff, for one, because it gets her a lot more access to stuff, and two, because if she's killing people, it would be in revenge for Brandon James, or because she was the killer back then, and the cops are the ones who shot Brandon James, so she would specifically want to torture and hate on the sheriff as you symbolize everything that's wrong. That would be cool if it was Maggie. Would be cool. I don't believe it. But Jake, Jake has reasons, of course. It looks like his house that the sheriff went into. We hadn't seen his house before. He's just a boring ashtray.
Yeah, well, and he's also the guy that says overtly suspicious shit more often than not.
All the time. Which brings me to another thing of Noah. Noah's always casting blame at everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't hate on anybody who had the theory that it's Jake because it makes sense. I just personally don't want to see it because a white male asshole as the killer, like,
well,
rich,
and then also with him getting stabbed in the chest and almost dying, that's just cuts a little too close to the first Scream movie in terms of just using the same thing again.
I don't hate on the theory. I don't like that. And it's like Kieran. I don't want the show to do that. I won't be happy.
But no, I understand why people would suspect Jake because that motherfucker be suspicious.
Absolutely. Creeping Kieran. Kieran is creeping again, which was basically my hashtag for the entire series, last episode of the series. So we move on to Brooke. It could be Brooke. It very well could be Brooke. I like Brooke. I would like for it to be Brooke for no other reason than, like I said in an earlier podcast, it's never been the blonde slut. In all of the slashers I've ever seen, it's always been any character that's been set up. Miss Voorhees isn't quite Maggie, but close enough. It has never been the blonde whore.
What would not be cool for me personally is if she is revealed to be the killer, then that actress has to give a monologue explaining herself.
But it would be fine if she died.
She is not up to that chore. But I don't want her to be the killer because I want to see her die because I don't like the character.
I like Brooke. I would be fine with it. Mostly for whatever, but I really don't want to have to sit through her monologue like,
yeah.
Just fucking the face.
So for pure originality, that's actually not a bad theory.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Is like I have my theories for whatever, but as far as like all of slasherdom and what is just an interesting whatever.
Right.
And like I said, and that's why I like the idea of Piper, let alone that everything seals the deal that she's one of them. I like the idea that it's a fucking girl who would be a killer and a slasher. I'm always up for that.
And it's one of the things.
Cliche that thing hasn't become a cliche yet. Only very few movies do that.
That's what the show has actually done pretty well is, and we're not even done with the list yet, but it's given respectable reasons to suspect all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're very good about that.
As we've said before, this is going to lead virtually everybody who watches the show to say that they knew who the killer was once it's revealed, because you suspect all these different people for all these different reasons. So no matter who it turns out to be, everybody's going to say, "Oh yeah, I knew it was Kieran. I knew it was him from the beginning."
And that's why we did final killer theories, and that's why it's really fucking cool that you guys gave yours too, because that's the thing. If it ends up being Kieran, we can all say, "I knew it was Kieran," because he's been set the fuck up to be. If it's the mom, you could be like, "Oh, I did see that coming because of the," you know what I mean? Like, and they're really good about that. That's a whatever to the show. If nothing else, they crafted a really good whodunit, just simply for the fact that they haven't excluded anybody. So we move on to the mayor. Could be the mayor. Highly doubtful.
Mm-mm.
He's involved in killing something, but I mean, I don't think I've even really seen that theory. Correct me if I'm wrong. If any of you have said that, I haven't even seen it around the internet. It would be very surprising if it was him, because for no other reason it would be surprising, because it's lame as shit, and he's way too bulky to have been inside any of those costumes. And who the fuck cares?
I would put the mayor on my cheat list along with Tyler and Brock and a couple of others. Audrey's dad, like you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Where, they've been on the show, they could turn up and we would... It's got to be, the killer reveal has to be a major cast member. If it's somebody that was in there once or twice and they bring them back, that's not going to work for me. And listen up, executive, it's not going to work for anyone. So
don't do it. Kieran, let's just get this out of the way. There are we don't even have to get on killer theories with Kieran, because there are a billion reasons every single episode that it's Kieran. What I can't personally believe is that I saw a fucking article where somebody was like, "Oh, did Scream just reveal their killer?" I'm like, "Oh, well, look at this." And they're like, "It must be Kieran because he did this, that, the other in the episode." I'm like, okay, you're trying to say that you're the one person in the world who didn't already think that it was Kieran, and this is what sold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if it's it's not Kieran. I will say that's another. It is not Kieran. It is not Kieran.
Kieran is definitely the lazy choice.
He's way too suspect all the time.
Yeah.
He's way too suspect. I'm gonna be it's gonna just because I said this. Okay. So anyway, moving past Kieran, Piper.
Yeah.
You can see a lot of that on our last two, our episode 8 reviews and our final killer theories.
If there's one like lock of the season, it seems to be Piper.
Yeah, it's Piper.
Because if she's not the killer, there's no reason for her to be on the show.
Yeah. I thought that the reason would be is because she could give the podcast as a writing aspect. She would be able to provide voiceover.
Right, a Greek chorus.
Yeah, a Greek chorus. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't done that at all.
But they haven't even used that enough. It's Piper. Let's move on. Branson, that's my boy. He was creepy as shit in this last episode. He's a good actor. I don't want him almost to leave the show because I'm like, oh, he could possibly be good. But he can't stick around because, one, he's too much of a suspect. Two, he slept with an underage girl, and that cannot be forgiven, MTV. Do not try and make him into some fucking hero. He's got to die in the next episode, which quite possibly won't even die because they're padding their time.
They might not.
But I really do think he's the killer for no other reason than the actor still, for his level of celebrity, has not had, like it was hinted at with the interrogations, has still not had his scene to really shine that made him be like, I'll be in this show. Especially if the actors who were in it didn't know who the killer was. How did they get him on the show? They'd be like, oh, you're going to play the background character to this and ruin your reputation because you sleep with an underage girl and people are going to think you're creepy forever. Why the fuck would I do your fucking show? We'll let you be the killer. Okay. So there's that. Plus, he's in the age range to be, what's her name's kid, but I doubt it. Supposedly we found out, I don't regard the whole finding out that he is Brandon James. I don't think that's true. But the other thing is that I bet you anything, if it is Piper, that it is that whole, and I don't even know how to explain that whole, the girl died years ago and Piper stole her purse. I don't even know how to explain that because it's going to be convoluted and fucking stupid and whatever. But there are movies, Cry Wolf, sorry to spoil that one. Cry Wolf is actually pretty cool, but it will piss you off. It will surprise you with its ending, but it will piss you off. Cry Wolf, that's one of their kind of things, is like, and then we blah, blah, blah. It makes no sense, whatever, but I still think that's going to be what it is. Piper needs a boyfriend. He makes the best suspect for it. So, like I said, I put Brock on my list just because, one, she's in the show, And 2, I wouldn't mind because I'd like to see her be the killer. Tyler, I still have. He's very far down the list. He's actually the second to last. Tyler, because like I said, he didn't die on screen. Yeah. And they specifically pointed out that he has foster parents. Those are 2 things that they didn't have to do.
Not only did he not die on screen, he's never been shown on screen. Were Tyler to show up...
Oh, no, he was shown on screen.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the car with Nina at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, see, Tyler shows up. He's going to have a placard saying, "Hi, I'm Tyler. You thought I was dead." Because I'm not going to recognize that guy.
Right.
So he won't have any shock value. It'll be like, oh, who's that guy that's the killer? You know? That.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think so. But again, it was something we brought up in True Detective, and it's just a rule to keep with you in all of movie, TV watching. Unless a character gets shot in the fucking head and their brains come out, that does not mean that they're dead. And then finally we have Nina. I really don't think that that would be a cheat list.
Yeah.
I think it would be Nina because she's Bella Thorne, and they would want Bella Thorne to play the killer because that would get them more publicity. That's the last person you would suspect. What if Casey Becker was actually the killer in Scream? And they could cheat their asses off. I'm not saying, I'm giving you guys more credit than that. I don't think you would cheat that bad, but it is possible, guys. Especially being that it's Bella Thorne, they would want her in as much Scream as they could get her in. Is something that was in the last episode when the sheriff goes to that strange house. The car out front, and I'll post a link to this, is Nina's parents' car. Or Nina's car, they just borrowed it for the weekend type thing. But if you look in the first episode, and it's debatable, you don't see enough of the car, but pretty much it's the same car. And they could have just killed, because we saw Rachel, and we saw Riley and shit bleed out and everything. Very, very obvious that she's dead. We saw his chopped off head. We saw his burnt fucking body. We've gotten a lot of visual confirmation that he's dead. Rachel, we've seen her dead body. Nina, we've only ever seen her parents discover her body. So all she would have to do if they wanted to was that she killed her parents too. That's all they would have to do. And then they get Bella Thorne as their killer and get a bunch of views because they want to go into season 2. What if Bella Thorne is the killer and only gets revealed at the very end, so season 2 will star Bella Thorne as the killer? That'll bring a lot of fucking viewers in. Sadly, it would. So Nina is at the bottom of the list because it would be an epic cheat, but financially, I could see them cheating and doing it because of her star power.
I could see it. I couldn't possibly forgive it.
I wouldn't stop it.
Because it means that one of the best aspects of the show, the very beginning of the very first episode, false advertising.
Oh, which points me out to something that I've been meaning to mention, but I never have. And this is just something that I saw. Within the first 25 seconds of the first episode, when they're putting up all of the things, the Audrey video is spreading. Mm-hmm. There is a screenshot that I paused that is a Facebook page, and on the side it has 3 news items. And one of the news items is, and they were being slick, they personally put this in there, is violence in TV or movies bad for teenagers? No. They're being funny. Mm-hmm. They expected you to read that, look, and be like, right off the bat, we are saying we do not think violence creates whatever. So there's our stamp. It's in there. Mm-hmm. And underneath that is, it was all a hoax. That means nothing at all. That's what Nina would be. It was a hoax so we could become popular on the internet for being murdered or being the killers. Oh God, I'm getting so scared. It's like don't speak the devil's name out loud or he'll appear. You know what I mean? Some of this stuff is freaking me out because it almost makes too much sense financially. It makes too much sense. Scares the hell out of me. Anyway, so those are the updated killer theories. I didn't get to call out everybody, but there were a lot of good theories. And if nothing else, I'm very fucking happy that you guys went on fucking YouTube and had the balls to say, here are my theories. They're out there in the world, and I can't take it back. I guess you could delete your comments.
You could, you know what?
But you guys are cool.
There's still time. There's still time before that final episode ends. You can still throw out some comments because after the show wraps up, we've got a few Scream-oriented shows planned, and there's no reason why we can't go back and call out a few more of these people.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
Just talk about who was right and who got it, and who nailed it.
We are definitely going to be doing that. I will take a whole fucking day or two to go through everything, find who was right, call you guys out for being right. Congratulations. Can't promise anything more than that, but maybe we'll see if there's something else I can do for you guys here on the horror. So that wraps us up. Just an idea to keep in mind. I have my animated show with JoeBlow.com, Al Pacino and Christopher Walken as roomies. Check that out. That'll be in a link.
I've got a horror novel designed specifically for young and middle readers to get them into horror, but I think it plays for all ages. It's called The Strange Tale of Hector and Hannah Crow, and you can find more information about that on my website, welcometostrangemanor.com.
Yes. And also, we want to ask you guys, what should we cover next? What TV show, upcoming, or possibly even in the past, would you like us to cover week by week? We're already going to be doing Ash vs. Evil Dead.
That's a lock.
Walking Dead for him. I don't watch Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, there's Scream Queens coming up.
Yeah, there's probably going to do at least pilot episode on that one. So
yeah, The Strain has been around for a couple of years now.
I ain't watching fucking Strain.
So, all right, now I want everybody to request The Strain and really put them on the spot.
Ain't gonna happen. That or Walking Dead. I'll do Fear the Walking Dead. Walking Dead, that will be all you, buddy. I'm sorry, I ain't doing that shit. I don't like vampires or zombies. Just because I'm such a big horror fan, they topped out with. And look at our top 5 vampires or werewolves app match.
Yeah.
Videos for that. Those two villains have topped themselves out years ago. Still looking for a good werewolf thing though, and I ain't watching Teen Wolf. MTV got one show out of me. I'm not watching fucking Teen Wolf. But anyway, we're going to be doing final episode, and we're going to be live tweeting it. We're going to be doing a whole season review. We are going to be doing speculation on what we think season 2 should be.
After we've seen the finale,
we're
going to collate that new data, predict where we think it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to get completely speculative and talk about how we would do a season 2 of Scream.
Mm-hmm. Or how we would have done Scream the TV show, maybe all in general. We'll see. We'll get to all that. But anyway, thank you guys for your recommendations, your comments. We'll see who the killer is.
Check back with us next week.
Next week. Later on, guys.